Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we are joined by PragerU host and country singer, and you know I got to talk to her about that a lot, Alexis Wilkins. Alexis, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I watched a video on PragerU about you, and first of all, I heard you singing, and some of your stuff is really amazing. I recently ventured into the space of music. It was honestly terrifying because with the last name Trump Alexis, I knew they would come after me. I knew that it didn't matter if I sang like Whitney Houston. Quite frankly, they'd be like, she can't sing. She's terrible. I did a cover of Tom Petty's song, I Won't Back Down.
Yes,
I was very
fantastic.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot. But did you ever have a fear? You've been into music from, very early on, from a young age. I learned that you were interested in music and pursuing a career in music. But then to come out and be very forward and outspoken with your views on things, did you ever face any sort of criticism based on your politics? Were you ever concerned about that sort of thing? Because as I found out over the past week and plus, since I've been in this whole new genre of things, it turns out that it's not just Hollywood that is very left-leaning. It also kind of seeps into the music industry as well. What's happened with you?
I found that the entertainment industry, of course, is very left-leaning, very, you have to follow the agenda. And if you don't, they want you to think that you're not going to get very far. I found that to be untrue because I sing country. And even though Nashville and country is starting to tilt more to the left, more than I'd like to see, the audience still wants country music. So if you lead with your values and you let patriotism lead culture in a direction that frankly I want to see, you can kind of combine the two and I think lead a charge on it, that even if you're not seeing other people do it, and now of course we're starting to see the dominoes fall in that direction, which I'm so happy about. But over the years, you do get kind of slack for being a patriot, or even, representing veterans' causes, which is something near my heart. And to me, that was always such a slap in the face, not only to the people who've served, but also just the fact that that shouldn't be a partisan issue. That should really go without saying. The fact that that's a conversation is pretty ridiculous to me. But yeah, I found that the audience is really receptive to American values. It's really just the industry, and I think I'm going to call it the institution that wants to keep it down.
Yeah, I mean, look, there really is no doubt that we have, as conservatives, certainly faced censorship in a whole host of different ways, right? I think a lot of people online have felt like via social media that a lot of what they put out or what information they're trying to get is censored. But they can also do it to musicians. They can tell you, well, we're not going to carry your song on the radio or on one of these satellite platforms because we just feel like maybe it's a little too political, or people have called and complained. I mean, it's sad that that's kind of the space we're in, but it's true. So I love that you feel like that it doesn't matter anyway. And I don't know that it matters anyway, because they certainly tried to do that to me. And yet, despite all of that, I was so proud of this record that I put out. It ultimately reached, we just got the information, the first week of sales, it ranked number 6 on the country charts, the Billboard country charts, which is like the end all be all of everything, and number 10 in all music genres. So I know they were trying to do it to me, but I think that the people of this country, like you said, were like, no, we really don't care. We're still gonna download this. We're still gonna buy it. But tell me about. Go ahead.
People are smart too. Like, even they tried to allocate. Billboard, I know, they redistricted their lines for what they allowed to chart. For a while, I think they had just their, if you purchased the song, that was an individual like digital download chart, and that was charting differently, which is why so much conservatism kind of busted through the Billboard chart, I think, for a while. And then they went, oh wait, no, we're only going to count streams, and people see that, and then people go, okay, I'm going to stream it all day. So I think the people who want to put it there, they see it, they get it.
Yeah, they do. So tell me about your music journey, though. Like I said, you've really been involved with music for most of your life, from what I understand. How did it all begin?
I started writing music when I was really young. To make a long story short, I realized that I could raise funds and awareness for causes that I believed in by doing something I loved. That's how it was explained to me by my parents when I wanted to raise money for an organization. And it's hilarious. I asked my mom if we could donate all of our money. When I was really, really little, I was like 6, go capitalism. She explains to me, you have to raise funds and awareness by doing something that you love and for, something you believe in. And I said, okay, wrote a song. Long story short, ended up getting it recorded in Nashville, funny enough, when I was young, just as kind of to follow it through, and ended up continuing to do it. That song initially raised money for an organization that I believed in way back when. And now that's really been a theme carrying through my life and continuing to do music. We talk about how the industry is difficult, and how these other factors play into it, but having a cause and having a why is really something that's kept me going. And of course, that cause for me has turned into spreading American values and contributing to veterans organizations and getting to work with veterans and raise awareness for that.
I love it. I mean, we're so grateful for our veterans. Had it not been for so many of these people serving this country, being willing to fight for this country, some of them actually fighting for this country, we couldn't be here today talking like we are. I mean, we wouldn't have the country that we have. And we're so fortunate that these individuals, some of them gave their lives, some of them gave their limbs, and some of them, came back changed people from their experiences serving America. And I'm personally so grateful. And I love that you're doing something to thank them in this way. And I think it's really awesome. So kudos to you for doing it. And also, by the way, at such a young age, you say you were 6. What is that? I mean, I got a 4 and a 6-year-old, Alexis. You got to tell me, what were your parents doing that rubbed off on you in this way? Because it seems like they really got your head on straight, and you really understood from a very early age how important it was to give back, how important these causes really are, and how to actually go out there and do something and achieve a goal. I think that's commendable. And honestly, we don't see a lot of it anymore these days. And it's kind of scary to think, like, what's going to happen to the future generations? Because, man, nobody wants to do anything.
No, they really don't. For my parents, and I'm really grateful for them, it was very much you see something and you want to do something about it, then you should do something about it. You have to act. You have to move into action. And it was also a lot of supplementary learning and supplementary reading. I mean, we talk a lot about the education system now and how they're not teaching these basic skills, basic history. Of course, they're censoring history, which is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But even back when I was growing up, there were things that I knew that I wasn't being taught in school, and my parents certainly knew I wasn't being taught in school. My papa fought in the Korean War, and I didn't learn anything about the Korean War when I was in school. My great-grandfather was in World War II. I come from a background of really appreciating and understanding history, and my parents really promoting that. And so it was a lot of really just supplementary learning, supplementary reading, encouraged reading, and just kind of fill in the gaps where schools were already starting to dumb the population down, I believe, on purpose. And so it's really just understanding the history and seeing how veterans and active service members even got to where they were and get to where they are, and see the holes in the system, understanding that the VA is funded in different ways, and just really seeing the gaps in the things that they need. I mean, we have 22 a day, now jumping to 24 a day. I don't think people realize that the statistic is changing. I thought it would move in the other direction with the amount of awareness, but something about the way the world is, it's actually increasing. 55,000 homeless veterans. The numbers are alarming, and I think it's making sure that we don't get callous to them as well.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that it was also a cause that was very near and dear to my father-in-law, Donald Trump's heart. Whenever he ran for president in 2016, he talked extensively about the way this country really has seemingly let down our veterans, and that he felt like they deserved better. And he made big changes at the VA while he was president. And I don't know that he got a lot of credit for that, but I'm sure it made a difference to a lot of people. And now to hear, gosh, that number is going up. I didn't even know that, Alexis. That's terrible. Instead of 22 veterans a day committing suicide, it's now 24. Is that right?
It is increasing. Yeah.
Wow. That's terrible. I mean, what a sad spot to be in. But look, hopefully we can turn this tide back around and make some strides in the right direction for this. You talk about education, and it's interesting because another piece that I think you're right, I think is intentional in what is happening to the upcoming generations. These are the people who will ultimately be in charge of our country one day, assuming we have a country left at that point, Alexis. You look around at these colleges, universities, and I feel like I may have been among the last several classes of graduates from a major university setting to not fully be indoctrinated with all of the liberal woke ideology. You look now, and these are basically just indoctrination camps. A lot of what people are paying for their children to receive when they go to a 4-year institution is just an education in wokeness. And you're a business and political science graduate from Belmont University. You had a very interesting experience while there in your comparative politics class. Would you mind sharing that experience with our audience?
Yes. So I was, as you said, business and poli sci, and I was in a comparative politics class, a class in which I kind of thought, silly me, that I would be safe, considering even if the professor didn't agree with my point of view, even if it wasn't really discussed. I think we can all agree that dictatorships sound pretty scary when you compare them to a democracy or, any other system. And so I thought that I would be safe. It turns out I wasn't. And as I said before, I've always loved school. I've always loved reading. Did all the reading for this class, kept really good records, which is my number one advice to students going into college now. And this professor didn't put anything into the system. There were no updates along the way. And at the end of the semester, I ended up checking my grade online, and I was given an F just out of the blue.
Crazy.
And of course, I knew that I didn't earn this grade. I knew that this grade came from, a little context here. This was a professor that started out class with 20-ish minutes of German punk. That's what he did for the first 20 minutes of class. He played German punk. He talked about how capitalism was flawed, and he let students promote AOC and have these really disturbing discussions about that. So I guess saw it coming, but I didn't see an F coming. You have to not show up at all to get an F.
Right.
And so I ended up talking to the dean of the political science department, who had me in class previously. He knew that while I held my opinion, I wasn't inflammatory about it. At the end of the day, college is supposed to be asking questions, having discussions. At least I thought it was. I don't think it is as much now. But talked to the dean of that department, showed him all of my work. I had all my creation dates. I did turn in work. This professor was trying to claim that I didn't turn in work or really anything for that matter, which was all obviously very untrue. We took it to the dean of the school, and I showed him the same, binder of my creation dates. And he looked at it and he went, okay, well, let's have the previous dean of the department grade your papers, and we'll see what he says, how that turned out. He ends up grading them. He ends up giving them an A, but they want to
my gosh.
My A with the F that the professor gave me. And I said, well, we're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. I ended up going to the president of the school to discuss this with him. He wasn't surprised by the teacher's behavior, but of course you have a system where you have all these tenured professors. Like it's a system doomed to fail in that way.
Right.
And he wasn't shocked by this professor's behavior. There's other details where this specific professor was, of course, it was an inflammatory time to go to school. It was in 2016, and of course that was politically fireworky. And so he had said things in class about not only the presidential race, of course, which I disagreed with his point of view strongly, but also the president of the school. He was calling the president of the school a dictator, was saying defamatory things about his wife. There's all sorts of things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. I told that to the president of the school, and he said, yep, not surprised. Go home. I will handle it. I don't know what that would have meant at the time. I'm like, okay, you'll handle it. He did end up making it a passing grade. He turned it into a pass or fail and let it be a passing grade. And so it ended up not affecting my GPA or scholarship or anything like that. But if you think about it, this experience I had at Belmont was over 4 years ago now. This professor's still there. He's still
Wow.
hosting an institution where he's systematically indoctrinating 30, 35 students at a time. These students go in kind of ambivalent about these things, and then they're radicalized through the course of the class about politics, about law, about everything that really plays into about their own school. And so when you look at it and you think, oh, well, it's just one professor, at the end of the day, it's 30 to 35 students, 5 classes each semester. He's systematically changing the generation that's coming up. And it's not just me. I know it's still happening. I've heard stories. I worked on a paper that came out through Turning Point's live feed about this specific scenario in this school, and there's a lot more examples in that paper. But I talked to a student last night that told me that he had to go to a required seminar called, I'm gonna butcher it, but something about like LGBTQ on the left. And the I don't know if it was a professor or someone who taught it, but I'll find out. This professor basically ranted about the right and conservatives for an hour, and this was required convocation to attend.
Jeez. It is honestly, it is so terrifying to think. What you say is completely 100% correct. Most of these kids go to college, they want to get, good grades, most of them, because they want to get a good job on the other side. They know they have to go there. And most of them don't really care about a lot of this stuff. But then they get there and they do. I mean, radicalized sounds extreme, but that's exactly what happens. And by the way, the fact that anyone would know or should need to know the political leanings of your teacher or your professor, to me, is insane. This should be, you go to a class to learn that information, to get the facts, to come to your own conclusions about things. As you said, universities are supposed to be everyone talking about their different viewpoints and discovering new ways of thinking and allowing for the exchange of ideas. That's how it's supposed to be. But the fact that this guy is still there, just to go back for a second to the VA, one of the problems with the VA whenever my father-in-law was president was that a lot of these people, they were like, well, you can't fire that person. Yeah, they're doing a really bad job for the VA, but you can't fire them because that's just how the rules are. And he was like, fire them. If you are not performing the job for which you were hired and you are not doing a good job, you're fired. Get out of here. And that should be the exact same thing that's happening all across the country for whatever it is, especially for our universities. It is so sad that you're right. This happens all day, every day. What do you think the future looks like? Is there any hope at this point for our colleges and universities?
I don't know that there's hope for the institutions. I don't see a lot of encouraging movement within the universities, within the colleges, within the administrative side. At the end of the day, while they have money in general, the funding is coming from, I say this administration, but it really started with the Obama administration, these grants that just let these schools run wild with an agenda. And I don't think that there's really stopping the progressive movement on college campuses. I do see hope in kids going to school and standing up and having these experiences that maybe don't sound fun. Maybe it sounds like standing up for what you believe in, but really courage is contagious. And going to college and standing for what you believe in, say you do want to go on a path where you have to go to college. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer. You have to fight against these things. And I know it's a strong word to say fight, but it really is. I had situations where I had an economics class where we were talking about actually the steel prices and the steel tariffs that were going on a couple of years ago. And our economics professor was just really dissing the USMCA and saying that it wasn't going to work.
Shocker.
Exactly. And was saying all economists, all of these blanket statements, every economist in the world agrees that the steel tariffs are a bad idea. And I'm sitting there in class and I'm the only one questioning it, which was alarming in and of itself. But, she's talking about all of these things. And I go, okay, you want us to write a paper on the steel tariffs? Got it. Understood. I write the paper that I know she wants to hear. I make it very short and brief. I know that it's exactly what she wants to hear. And then I write an addendum on the paper, basically a second paper, re-illustrating the graphs, explaining what I think it's actually going to do and the fact that it's going to be good for the country. It's going to be good for the GDP, all of the things.
Wow.
True. So I turn in 2 papers and I go, here's the one that I would like for you to grade because I know that you're only going to give viewpoints you agree with a good grade, which is inherently flawed, but I digress. And then I turned in the second paper and I said, but this is my actual belief. These graphs actually make more sense than the ones I know that you want us to make. And this is the viewpoint that ended up being true. And so not only are these students being taught these things that, they shouldn't be, for one, but also things that are completely untrue and they're not going to have a good worldview. So as far as the institution goes, I don't see a ton of hope there, but I do see hope in the students really going the extra mile and while they're being encouraged not to ask questions, while they're being separated from their families in orientations, while they're being told, your family raised you to this point and now we've got it from here. That's a real statement from my Belmont orientation.
Wow.
I think it really is having these conversations and equipping students with the tools they need as they go into schools. And that's a lot of what I talk about, but also just, I think that if you have to go to college for what you want to do in life, or it's just really on your heart to go to college, I think it's something that these students need to be equipped with. The high school to college pipeline doesn't pad kids with enough education. Of course, as I said before, we're missing these basic classes now, not only in public education, but it's beginning to creep into private education. They're not equipped with the tools to go to college and know what they're missing or have those conversations. It's a fundamental lack of education. And when you're 17, 18 and go to college, you're still too green to know what you're missing and what you're being indoctrinated with. And it should be a crime to flip these kids so young while they're still forming how they feel about the world.
But that's why they do it, because they know they have a captive audience. They know how easily swayed young people are. They know how emotionally driven young people are. And that's the basis of most liberal arguments. It's not based in fact, actual numbers, anything tangible and real. It's actually based a lot in emotion. And how can we do things that make us feel good? This makes me feel like I'm a good person. It feels good to keep the border open. It feels good to let people just come in. Yeah, we're an open border country. Come on in. We'll take care of you. It feels good. And then whenever you get smacked in the face with people lining the streets of 6th Avenue and Madison Avenue in New York City because there's nowhere for them to go, people are like, oh, well, now I got to step over these people on my way to work. Man, this doesn't feel so good anymore. It always comes back around. But by the way, can I just say, good for you for putting that addendum on your paper, girl. Yes, I love that you did that. I think back to when I was in college and I was like, how can I get a great grade but not have to do all this extra work? The fact that you did the extra work just is like a little bit of like I see you, professor, and I'm just going to show you you're wrong. Like, I love that. And as a parent, I just have to say, I think listening to what you're saying, you're right. The courage is contagious. Bravery is contagious. We have to equip our young men and women. If there are parents who are in the audience today who are listening to this, and I'm concerned, even though my kids are so young, about what will this space look like when they get to the age where maybe they decide they want to go to college. You've got to raise your kids so strong today that, Alexis, like you, they can go in there and no matter how hard they go after your kids are able to say, like, good luck indoctrinating me because I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what's important to me. And I think it's so important that the parents right now of children who will one day be headed to one of these institutions, we've got to just equip our kids better. We got to make sure that they understand things, and we've got to start teaching them now. We got to put the hard work in, take the laptops, take the tablets, take the phones away from them, sit down with your kids, talk to them, and educate them on all of this stuff. I think it's probably why it seems like a natural progression for you to go start doing work with PragerU, because I think PragerU is doing so much of that. They're really an aid to parents in a way. And I allow my kids to watch anything that PragerU puts out. I think everything they put out is phenomenal. I think it cuts to the chase of what our kids need to be seeing. How did that come about with PragerU, and what can we expect to see from you there?
It's been really fun working with Prager, especially, when I was in college, I was using Prager as a resource in some ways. And so it's really cool to see the full circle of that and get to ultimately work with Prager. We've been working, of course, on content. We did the Stories of Us, which was really great to do with them. And now we are developing a more news style show where the whole goal for me, and I've always been really passionate about this, is we're, of course, as we've said, lacking critical thinking skills in school, in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, in college, across the board. If you can think for yourself, they already make you feel like you're in trouble. So right. The idea here is to give headlines in a way that are digestible for really all ages, but also have a critical thinking concept that really gets people understanding these big ideas, that they can either walk into a conversation, walk into a voting booth. We're not telling them what to think, we're teaching them how to think, which is what schools should be doing, but they're not. And so I'd like to step in here and try and supplement the process.
Yes, love it. And by the way, I know that there was recently, over the past month or so, some big movement with PragerU being able to be shown within schools now, which I know they had probably tried to block, because I remember back in the day, especially like when I was in college, I remember in like the gym in college, it was just all, they had some like CNN college edition or something on. But now PragerU, it's in schools, right?
Yes, it is. So it's now an approved resource, and I can't even remember how many states at this point because it's going so quickly. I know.
Yeah, I love that.
The first ones, and it's going quickly now, where you can use it as an educational resource. Teachers can use it in schools. It's passed all of those boards that it needs to, and it's really great because I can't think of anything better than parents, even just parents and schools in general, being able to supplement their kids' learning with these small bits of actual history, especially we just passed Columbus Day. They have a bunch of Columbus Day videos that aren't completely, indoctrinating and totally hating on American history. While everyone else is pulling down the statues and being crazy, we're trying to just give kids an actual grasp on history.
Yeah, I was going to say, it won't make your kid want to go tear down a statue, which is always a nice thing to end with. Before we go, what's new on the music front? Can we expect anything coming from you? And how can people find you? Tell us what we need to know.
Yes, so all of my socials, True Social, Instagram, the whole nine, Rumble, is all Alexis Wilkins. It's just my name. And then as far as music, I will be coming out with more music soon. I'm going to be coming out with a music video for my song Country Back, which I'm really excited because that song is so near and dear to my heart. Of course, it's patriotic. It's exactly how the title sounds. The whole line in it is, I want my country back. So it definitely leans into everything I believe in and supports that. So we're coming out with a video for that pretty soon. And and then this Prager show coming down the line as soon as we can. And I think that's
you're busy
for the next.
You're busy, girl. I'm gonna say it. Bye, Maren Morris. Hello, Alexis Wilkins. Let's go ahead and do that. Right, like that's where we are on things. You are awesome. Thank you for all that you're doing out there. Thank you for putting out music that we feel good about listening to, that's inspirational, and really thank you for all that you're doing to help make sure that our kids are going to be set up well for the future, because nothing is more important than that. As a mom, believe me, it is at the forefront of everything that I'm doing. So Alexis Wilkins, thank you for joining us here at The Right View. To everybody at home, as always, thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. And we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it. So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, L-A-R-A-T is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LARAT so you can get yourself one of these today too. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, "This is the pillow that I want to sleep with." And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.